Good morning, this is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for August 23rd around 9:30 in the morning. Well, we're watching Tropical Storm Danny approaching the northern Leeward Islands, and looking at the HurTrack program here, you can see that the system begins to dissipate into a tropical depression as it moves into our current feature Antigua, and then moves into Puerto Rico and towards Hispaniola, weakening to a remnant low as it gets into the southeast Bahamas. There's a little discrepancy in the models, and I'll get to that in just a minute, but again, as you see, it approaches Antigua, and then the system really begins to wind down. There's a lot of wind shear out in front of this and dry air aloft, so this system is going to continue to struggle as it moves into the northern Leeward Islands, and it wouldn't surprise me if this just becomes a dissipated remnant low system before Monday even comes around. That's quite possible. By Monday we see just a remnant low out there. Well, let's take a look at our system. Let's look at the visible shot of Tropical Storm Danny rather, and you can see the low level circulation keeps popping out to the southwest of the main ball of convection. Fairly typical for systems that are weakening and in sheared conditions, and you can see that the low level circulation every now and then will pop out because the clouds are being blown off to the northeast, but the system looks like it's hanging on here as it approaches the Leeward Islands, so it'll probably be a tropical storm as it moves through, but then it'll weaken in the northeast Caribbean Sea as it heads towards Puerto Rico. But outside of that, we have a lot of other things going on in the tropics. Let's take a look at the water vapor loop, and you can see that we have a mid to upper level low near Bermuda, which is an invest, by the way, and may actually work its way down to the surface, but it'll eventually move off to the northeast and should not affect land. And then here is Danny approaching the northern Leeward Islands. Notice the dry swath out in front of it and wind shear from the southwest, so this is not in a favorable environment at all. And then we have the system out behind it, invest 98L out here in the mid-Atlantic, and some of the models are indicating this is going to develop a little bit more than Danny when it's near the islands, and that could be a factor down the road, but it looks like right now the indications are this is going to recurve off to the north towards Bermuda. We'll have to wait and see about that. And then we have another wave coming off of Africa, which may or may not develop and head toward the west. The models aren't real aggressive on any of these systems, except for what would be Erica up near the island of Bermuda if and when it gets up that way. So let me switch sources and get to some of the images I want to show you today. And first of all, here is the map on the front page of Hurricane City showing the current position of Danny and its past track and the future track, and then as you can see, it turns into a tropical depression over the Greater Antilles and then basically dissipates in the Bahamas. And you have your invest here heading north, and then we have this newer system out east of Danny that would be named Erica, and we have to wonder what's going to happen with that. But before we do, here's a shot of Danny on the radar, and look how tiny this little ball of convection is. Now the current feature at Hurricane City is Antigua, but the countdown clock has been deactivated because we're not expecting sustained tropical storm force winds on the island of Antigua. They're going to get gusts to maybe 50 miles an hour, but it's not going to be sustained. And the stronger a tropical storm is, the more the winds tend to be sustained at the surface. But because the forecast calls for this to weaken to a depression as it approaches Antigua, chances are of sustained tropical storm force winds of 40 miles an hour or greater, 39 miles an hour to be exact, affect the area on a regular sustained basis is pretty slim. There are going to be some gusts to 50 miles an hour as this moves through. And unfortunately, the live camera from Antigua, from King's Casino, is down, and I'm hoping that they're not taking that offline simply because they don't want people seeing bad weather in Antigua. I'm hoping that it's maybe a technical glitch this morning and that they get that camera back up, because I hate it when companies pull their cameras offline when hurricanes are coming simply because they don't like the bad publicity of it. Alright, so let's look at what's happening as far as the wind shear and the future of this system. First of all, let me go to the Wisconsin maps here showing the upper level winds, and you can see our system Invest 97L up here near Bermuda, kind of a mid to upper level low. I'm not really anticipating much out of this as it moves off to the northeast. And then we have Danny down here. Here's our dry swath and the wind shear out of the southwest. That's why I'm believing the models that are taking this into the Greater Antilles. I'll show you those in just a minute. But what's behind it, what potential Erika, is going to basically run into the same type of pattern, so I don't really see how much is going to be changing. However, this upper level low, whatever becomes of 97L, will be out of the way, and maybe things will be a little bit more favorable, although not a whole lot favorable, because there's another upper level low to the east of 97L that's moving off to the southeast, and that may also increase a little bit of wind shear over what could potentially be Erika. Here is the wind shear from the GFS maps going out 48 hours, and you can see that they're still showing some wind shear over Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and it's heading that direction, so the wind shear is going to be a real problem for this system. But you notice in the Bahamas there's low wind shear, and it may improve a little bit even more than that, but the problem is the system going to be in the Bahamas to be able to redevelop, or is it going to be over the Greater Antilles or Hispaniola being washed out over land? That's the million-dollar question. So let's take a look at some of the models. First of all, let's take a look at the GFS. Now the GFS washes out Danny over Hispaniola, but here we are going out to Sunday, next Sunday, the 6th, 144 hours, and you can see Erika, what would be Erika, is right near the Turks and Caicos, but it's a weak system, and it loses it after this. So the GFS is not showing much development with what would be Erika at all, and it washes out Danny over the Greater Antilles. And here is the GFDL on Danny, and this is going out to 84 hours, which would be August 26th, and August 26th would be Wednesday. And you can see this system is near the Turks and Caicos as a potential Category 1 hurricane, but again, I'm not buying this track simply because the system is cruising west right now because it's a weak system and it's being steered by the flow of a weak system. The hurricane hunters indicated the winds went up to the low center of the system extends up 26,000 feet, so that steering flow would generally take it towards Puerto Rico, and the GFDL has it going well north of Puerto Rico, so I'm not really buying this track or forecast from the GFDL. In fact, the GFDL has not done very well on Danny overall. And then here is the GFDL showing Danny going out 126 hours. This is the 28th going into Friday, and you can see it splits the upright, splits the Gold Coast between the Outer Banks of North Carolina and Bermuda, and does not hit any land masses and eventually moves off to the northeast. So either of these scenarios would be good news for people that don't want to see a hurricane, and that is either splitting the Gold Coast and heading out to sea, or heading into the Greater Antilles and dissipating as a remnant low. Now here is the H-Wharf, which has been better performer on Danny, and the H-Wharf washes this system out over Hispaniola, and this is going out to the 28th, which is Friday. It washes it out over the Greater Antilles. But look behind it, there is what would be Erika just north of Puerto Rico, and it doesn't really do much with that either. So the indications are that whatever becomes Erika is not going to be real powerful, but there's a possibility that it could be. Either way, it looks like it's going to be a recurvature situation and no threat for the United States, the way it stands at this point. Now here is the forecast from the Euro model, and this is going out to September 2nd, so this would be Erika. This is what would be Erika, again splitting the uprights between Bermuda and the United States as potentially a major hurricane up here. And here is the Euro on what would be Erika right near the Bahamas before it becomes a major hurricane. This is going out to Sunday, August 30th. So this is 168 hours plus. And again, forecasts like this are very difficult and unreliable at best, but indications are Danny is just not going to be a non-factor at all. And Erika could potentially become a hurricane and split the uprights between Bermuda and the U.S. That's the way it stands right now in a nutshell. I also want to mention that out in the Pacific we have a hurricane Kilo out here, and this system indicated by the GFDL. Again, the GFDL has not had a good year this year, but the GFDL is indicating this could be a Category 5 hurricane just to the west of the westernmost Hawaiian Islands. Now, could you imagine looking at this model, and it would make your heart stop if you knew a Category 5 hurricane could potentially affect the islands. Now, for the last couple days, both the GFDL and the HWRF have been indicating that that was a possibility, but as each model run comes out, it's shifting further and further west of the Bahama Island, I keep saying Bahamas, the Hawaiian Island chain, and eventually will move away from the Hawaiian Islands as a pretty powerful hurricane. And here is the HWRF on the same system, has it up to Category 3 just west of the Bahama, there I go again, Hawaiian Islands. I'm so used to the Atlantic Basin, folks, I hardly ever talk about the Pacific, but I just wanted to mention the Hawaiian Islands are being threatened by a potentially massive hurricane out here, but it looks like it's going to go off to the west of the island chain as the runs keep coming out. Both the GFS and the European model have this going way west of the Hawaiian Islands, so it looks like this may not hit the Hawaiian Islands, but something to keep an eye on. Anyway, that's it for now. We're going to keep an eye on Danny, but it looks like it's just going to be a tropical storm windy event, 2 to 4 inches of rain in the northeastern Leeward Islands. And then we're going to watch Erica. I'll have another update if Erica develops and what happens with Erica and what the future track of Erica is. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City, and remember to follow us on Twitter at Hurricane City. Thank you for watching.